Hello and welcome back to Eco Girl in a Modern World. My name's Shelly and my channel is dedicated to creating content or videos that discuss how to be more environmentally conscious and friendly in a modern world. So as it's been a minute, it's been a hot minute since my last video, but my last video was really long. It was about fast fashion, and moving forward, I'm going to try to make these videos a lot more concise, and we'll probably break it down into more select subjects. So just to keep it more entertaining and fast-paced and better. But just like we talked last time about fast fashion, and that's a very big topic. We discussed that the 5 ways that you can be more environmentally friendly in the face of all of this fast fashion that's out there is really 5 simple rules. First rule is try not to buy on impulse. Try not to just add to cart. Second thing is avoid duplicates. Look at the staples that you already have in your closet. The third rule is buy organic fibers. Buy fibers that biodegrade. Do not buy anything synthetic new like acrylic, polyester. Don't buy any of that new. Second thing is buy secondhand. If you are going to get something that's polyester or because there's a lot of synthetic fibers out there, don't buy it brand new, buy it secondhand. And then the last rule is wear it 30 times. If you already have something that's synthetic in your closet, the best thing that you want to do is keep it out of the landfill. So wear it at least 30 times. If you're going to buy something new, buy it with the expectation of wearing it 30 times and really commit to that. And then don't throw it away. Don't throw it away. We're in a very use once and throw it away culture, and that's a big. We need to change that. Just because you wore it once and you don't want to be seen in it twice, sell it, rent it, do something else that you're not just buying it using something that doesn't biodegrade or takes a long time and that's bad for your environment, because that is your future. Your children's children will be dealing with the impact of that. But today, as you see from the title, we have something kind of exciting. I ran into a big mystery with the fiber content of a piece of clothing that I bought, and I thought I would share with you because it was a fun adventure, so to speak. It has intrigue, it has arson, and most importantly, it has biodegradable, environmentally friendly fabrics. It's a Shacket Story. So let's jump right in. Basically, just like everything out on the market is fast fashion right now, with the influencer culture, and it's not good, bad, or indifferent, but I just came out of Christmas, and it's funny, my nieces are younger, much younger, of the generations that are really of the shopping culture now. And I even heard things like, oh, well, I was already seen in that once. And, well, I need a new dress. I need something new, something that hasn't been seen before. But what happens is, if just about all of these companies like SHEIN and H&M, they kick out these fast, cheap, and you think it's cheap. It's really not cheap. It has a cost on the environment. It has a cost to the people who make it. They never get paid a living wage. And everything's made out of polyester. Polyester doesn't biodegrade, and it leaks chemicals into our ground. So I made a personal pledge to never buy polyester or acrylic firsthand. And I look like a total weirdo because what I do is I go into the stores and I look at the tags of everything. And actually, I wanted to clarify that just very briefly. In the previous video, I used the term pop those tags, like pop your tags. And I realized, I've been using that term a lot in my environmental stance on it, but it has a different colloquial meaning on Urban Dictionary so just to clarify, if you listen to the popular rap videos, or if you listen to the lyrics of songs, when someone says pop those tags, and I think there is a song that talks about that, it means that they went on a shopping spree and they're cutting off all the sales tags, high ticket, probably 100% polyester with some gaudy high mainstream logo on it that is worth not worth $1,000 for the Prada or whatever logo. in my humble opinion. So that's not the meaning that I mean. I do not mean, and actually Macklemore, he has a great song, The Thrift Shop. He talks about pop some tags too. But I think he means getting things at a discounted price and, yes, going on a shopping spree and, cutting off all the tags. When I say pop those tags, and I'm going to coin it in a different direction, in an eco girl direction, is that I mean, look at the content of your clothing. Pull out the tag, which is normally not on the back, it's usually on the side. And this is the Shacket. We're about to talk about this guy. And look at what is made of. Pop that tag. Pop that tag. And if that tag does not say cotton, organic cotton, linen, silk, 100% hemp, if it does not say 100%, hopefully no crossover, when you have mixtures of things, that's harder to recycle. So what you may see is a mix of cotton and polyester. You might see a mixture of cotton and recycled polyester, which is not bad. That's in the right direction. But if you want to reuse a garment, or if you want to make sure that it goes back into the ground, you need to make sure that this is 100% a biodegradable resource. And that would be cotton, linen, hemp, silk, or I'm missing one. There you'll see a few that claimed they're a little bit greenwashed. You'll see Lidocell or Tencel. Those are what I refer to as the particle board fabrics. They are made from paper, but the problem is they use a chemical bath that glues it together. Like if you've ever cut your IKEA, furniture in half, you see how it's just a bunch of wood flakes glued together. That's the material equivalent. Lidocell, Tencel, and Modal. So those are going the right direction, but all the glue that keeps it together is not good for your skin, and it doesn't biodegrade either. So back to the beginning, I pop my tags. And what I like to do is if I'm going to buy something that's trendy, something that's cute, first, I want to know that if I'm buying it new, that it is 100% cotton, 100%, and I will pop my tags. Shelley's definition, pop my tags. I will go look at the tag. And I am shocked that there is so much out there that is not 100% cotton, not 100% anything. It is a world of polyester, and it saddens. It breaks my heart every single time I walk into a store because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And SHEIN's really bad for it too. I know I drag them all the time, but I'm going to post a video down below. One of my favorite fashion persons, a beautiful French lady who actually makes clothes. She is a fashion designer, so she knows the plight of someone who's had to sew a garment. She knows her stuff. Justine Leconte, or Justine Leconte. So Justine is fantastic. She's very knowledgeable, and I'll put a timestamp. There's actually one point where she buys stuff from SHEIN just to show as an example how bad the fast fashion is, and she holds up a swimsuit and she shakes it in the sun, and you can see particles. That's just disgusting because that is microplastics. And if you want to check out either my materials video or my fast fashion video, that's so horrible. We've got microplastics in our water. Our fish eat it. They found plastic in bloodstreams now. So we really need to get away from polyester. So moral of the story is I don't buy polyester or acrylic anything. If I pop that tag and it says polyester, I'm not buying it. I'm not putting my buying dollar towards it. The other thing is that it's buying firsthand, and that's always that has a carbon footprint because of the way it's made and flown around the world. And it's amazing. You can watch, there's a great video that talks about the life cycle of a t-shirt. I think it is I forget, but they talk about, it's amazing how the shirt will be made in this country and the tag will be made in this country, and then they fly it, and all the gas that they use just flying this stuff around the world is ridiculous. It defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do. The last thing, and then I will get past the gloom and doom and get to the moral of the story, which is actually kind of interesting, is that we really need to care about what's the content of our clothing. That's the other thing that really disturbs me. No one talks about that. No one cares. It's like that ignorance is very deadly. And, you know, if we are going to make a change and positive change, we need to become woke. I hear so much about woke this, woke that. Why can't we get woke about our clothes? Why is that not a thing? Why wasn't that not a thing 40 years ago when Earth Day started, you know? And Earth Day's coming up. Let's make it a thing. But what happened was I was actually shopping department stores. I was just out Christmas shopping, and I look at environmental things when I Christmas shop too. Of course, I am not perfect. You know, I have family members who like, you know, like synthetic stuff. So, you know, I, I'm, being environmentally friendly doesn't mean that you're not allowed to take up space. You know, you can see behind me, I have electronics. I'm not, you know, living in an all wooden world. That's the modern part of modern world, is that you are going to have to concede with some of the what's going on. So I'm not saying don't take up space, but I'm just saying, you know, where you can make a difference, because it makes a world of difference. But I was out in the shopping department stores, and believe it or not, I saw a bra, not to be TMI. I had gone into J.C. Penney and I had found a triangle bra that was that was made out of organic cotton that was like $27. And the same exact cotton content did still have Lycra in it too. But when I, you know, not to drag anyone, one of my favorite undergarment brands is Urban Basics, and or I'm sorry, Organic Basics. Organic Basics, when I go there, they had the same exact similar top for like $50, but then it was $27, and it was organic cotton at JCPenney. So I went and I got a good deal on it, and I got it for $26. As I was walking out of the store, I came across this plaid jacket, like a plaid jacket big enough to be like a jacket for spring or fall. And I'm, you know, I am fashion minded. Just because I'm an environmentalist doesn't mean I don't watch all the, hey, what's coming, you know, what trends are coming for 2023 videos. I love those. That's what, you know, that's part of being human. And, you know, if you love fashion, you know, whatever your gender, however you resonate, you know, go for it. But you know, I adhere to the 5 rules with it though. You know, am I buying on impulse? Do I already have it? Is it a staple? Is it something I can wear 30 times? Is it made of an organic fabric, and am I buying it new? Those 5 rules, live by them and you're making a difference. So I looked at it, and it was a nice jacket. It was a nice jacket. And it's funny, this trend has not been so much on the radar. But, you know, it's funny, I had seen it mentioned. It stood out in my mind because there's another really great fashionista here, and such a entertaining channel, named Laini Ozark. And she just had a baby. Congratulations. She's doing so good, and she's still producing content right after she had a baby. You're a better woman than I am. Gosh, I'd be so busy and distracted. But she has a fantastic fashion sense. She does encourage thrifting. She has a big closet, and she encourages thrifting. But she did a couple videos where she talked about shackets. And what a shacket is exactly what we said. It's a plaid shirt that you can use as a jacket. And it really is it's a transitional staple. It is something that you can wear quite frequently. I'm probably justifying it to my own mind. But, you know, she was talking about, and I'll even post one of the videos down below. She was talking about real world trends versus Instagram trends. And a lot of Instagram trends have been talking about the puffer jackets. And I did a video about that, like down feathers, what that entails. And she's like, you know, she did a couple videos that talked about how people were making it out like the shacket was going out of style, you know. And she even says that she's very blunt with it, and I agree. You know, it seems like the moment everyone's wearing something, you know, oh, we got to change it. It's no longer cool. Yeah, it's still cool. If you walk outside in the real world and not just live on your phone, everyone's still going to be wearing it very comfortably. So, but I like her videos because she talks about, okay, this is popular on Instagram, but what people are wearing in the real world is this. So, you know, but what struck me as great is that as I'm walking out of JCPenney, I saw this plaid jacket, and it was really beautiful, and it was really sturdy. It was thicker, and I liked the colors. A lot of whites and creams and caramel colors are very popular, and I noticed they only had one of them left, so I do take that into consideration. Okay, this is probably pretty popular. Now, what I did is that, I popped that tag. I popped the tag and I noticed it was like, I couldn't really find the content on it. So and it was pretty expensive. So I foregoed that. I went home, I didn't buy it, and I looked it up online, and it was, of course, as predicted, 100% polyester. I'm also getting kind of a spidey sense. I'm starting to learn how to touch something, and I can kind of tell at a touch, okay, this might be a blend of something, that it's difficult because when it's like a blend of cotton and rayon or something, then I feel the cotton side, but I was like, no, I can't buy that. First off, it would be breaking all of my rules. It's too expensive, and it was an impulse buy. But what I did do is I went ahead and I adhered to my rules, and I went on eBay and I said, okay, let me try to find something similar that is bought secondhand and an organic fabric. And I found something very comparable. And now the thing was, a lot of times on eBay, the sellers, the reputable sellers, not to say you're not reputable if you don't do this, but a lot of reputable sellers will show you the tag showing, okay, this is what the fiber content is, which is a upfront thing to do. Again, and our goal is to care about what it's made of. Nobody cares what it's made of anymore. One other video I'll post down below is that there was, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Sorry to detract. But I found a great one, and I didn't see the tag. They didn't post a picture of the tag of what the material was. So I did message the seller, and I shouldn't have directly said, but I just said, is this 100% cotton? And they replied back, yeah. I probably should have just said, what material is this made of? But I went ahead and bought it, and it was inexpensive. It was just like under $20, and they mailed it to me, and it's very nice. I like it a lot. And I held it up, and it's just like you see it. It's, and here I'll do the side by side. It's very comparable to the jacket that I wanted, that I liked, that I got hard eyes over. But I ran into a little bit of a snag. When they came in, I tried it on, and I was like, oh, it looks great. This is exactly what I was looking for. But it felt a little itchy. Excuse me. It felt a little scratchy. It didn't feel like 100% cotton. And so I went to pop the tag, and the tag is 100% it says 100%, but it has symbols that look like Chinese symbols. It's completely in another language. Now, the care instructions have those universal symbols of, like, I can see it says hand wash. I can make that out. Do not iron. Sometimes when it says do not iron, I get a little nervous because that could be polyester. The reason that polyester can't be ironed is because it's plastic, and if you heat it up, it'll melt. So I was like, great, the seller kind of was like, yeah, it's 100% this, but they didn't know. What if they didn't read Chinese? So, and it's no harm, no foul. The maker of them, it could have, it could very well be, made in another country where it's not printed in English, and that's okay. But I was just very concerned because I don't want to, while I can kind of translate it, I would really like to know what it's made of. So I took to the internet, as we all do, and I said, okay, is there a way that I can figure this out? And how this turned into such an adventure just to make sure something's cotton and not polyester. It's like, how hard do you have to work just to be an environmentalist these days? And the answer is pretty darn hard. But I went ahead and the first thing that I did is I went ahead and did a Google search for the image. So you can do that. You can crop down the image and just say, okay, is there a match on the internet for these symbols and what the symbols mean? Now, when I did that, I didn't have much luck. I was coming back with like stamps on China, so I did kind of confirm that the language was Chinese, which is fine, but it was like stamps on actual China plates. I saw a few framed things. Basically, it looked like those symbols that you do not want to have tattooed on your body unless you've triple checked what it actually means. And so it was a dead end with that. So the image search didn't glean any results. So then I searched for like, okay, list of materials in Chinese, and I actually found a few really good articles. But the problem is when I was looking, it had cotton, the symbols for cotton. Well, what gave me peace of mind is that the symbols for polyester were like 6 symbols. So that kind of, and what's on my tag had two symbols, which really all of the organic fabrics only had two symbols, like denim, wool, and silk. But it wasn't the same, it wasn't a match for what's on the tag. So it's not cotton, it's not denim. And what I was starting to suspect was that it might be wool. But the other thing is that a lot of these symbols, the reason that the symbols probably didn't match so much is because a lot of the translation was very detailed. Like it might say brushed wool or woven wool. So it's not just wool. They don't, I think in China they actually describe it a little bit more. So I didn't want to go on Reddit. I didn't want to go anywhere else to try to figure this out. I have a trusted tailor that I go to actually, he hemmed the pants that I'm wearing right now. But I felt very shy about doing that because to be honest, I feel ignorant. And this is how, again, why does it have to be this way? When you have a question about something, what do? You seek out an expert in that field. But I felt really ignorant going to him because he's not Chinese, he speaks Korean. And I know that's not his language, but he deals in clothes all the time. He mends and fixes things and he dry cleans things. So I was just curious, okay, can I just ask him? Would he be offended if I asked him, by the feel of it, what do you think this is? And I was really hesitant to do that. And the other thing is that the other test that I kept seeing on the internet when I was doing all this is like, oh, cut off a piece of the shirt and burn it. And I'm like, excuse me? But apparently that really is a thing. And it kind of makes sense because I make bags, and it's funny when I do the ribbon drawstrings on it, I do solder. I burn the edges of the ribbon to make sure it doesn't fray. And I know for a fact when I do that synthetic fibers, especially polyester, it congeals and it peels away like plastic does, like it melts. So, but it was interesting when I searched for that. They're like, okay, you could burn it, and these would be the results if it were cotton. These would be the results if it were wool. But I didn't really want to do that. I was looking at the shirt and I was like, gosh, I don't even see. I was looking at the shirt like, where do I even see a piece to clip off? So I did take it to my tailor. I asked him to look at it. He was very kind about it. I still felt like a jackass asking him, even though this was not his language. And he honestly couldn't give me a straight answer either. He said that it also felt kind of like wool. It's a little thick and scratchy. And all he said is that you can hand wash it and then dry it on low. And those are like the symbols that are on the tag, right? Those are the universal symbols of, an X over an iron shape, and it was crazy. So I brought the shirt back home and I was like, okay, am I making such a big deal out of this? But it is a big deal. Why isn't anything transparent about the materials we put on our body? There's a principle to the thing. So I finally said, okay, is there any place on this shirt where I could just snip off a little bit? Let's become arsonists. Let's do the burn test. So I did. In the inside of one of the pockets, and I could pull it out, there was a little edge that would not be seen, not be missed if I did a little clipping. So I clipped it off, and very carefully, if anybody does this at home, please use tweezers, be in a ventilated room, have some baking soda at the ready, don't set anything ablaze. But I did go ahead and do the two tests. And it was really interesting. The internet results were really interesting too, because the internet results said, oh, okay, if it's cotton, it'll ignite very fast and it'll smell like burning leaves. And it's funny, when I did the clipping, when I did it, that's exactly what happened. It ignited really fast and it did smell like burning leaves. And again, when I've soldered my ribbon, that smells very chemical, and I would not advise anybody. I would probably advise wearing a mask and have the fan on, because that's really bad for your respiratory. But the cotton, so I am almost positive that it is some form of flannel cotton. Now, the only concern is it lit up pretty quickly. So if I do decide to wear my fashionable jacket to any weenie roasts, or if I go outside next to an open, next to a campfire, I might go up like a Roman candle. So I'm bearing that in mind. But since we were doing burn tests on other things, I thought, okay, well, I've always been told that wool is fire retardant. And, I think it is. So I did also, just as an example, and I looked up, okay, what would be the response if I burned a little bit of wool? And I clipped a little piece off my red woolen blanket, and I did the same test, and it actually responded exactly as wood would, as wood would. Wool would, as wool would, not wood would. It did ignite, but it didn't flame up the way that my plaid jacket clipping did, and it dimmed down right away, and then it stopped. So it really did resist the flame. It didn't smell chemical, and I just thought that was really neat. So wool is pretty good. It also is kind of scratchy, because again, I thought my new Shacket was wool because it's a little itchy. I have to wear it with a long sleeve shirt, but long story short, that was my little material adventure. But one last thing I did do, and I will also post the video below, is that there's two videos. First off, there's a video that was done by it was in it was a video that tested the materials in fast fashion. And believe it or not, another reason that you should really go for organic materials is because a lot of these fast fashion brands, like I get upset at the faux leather trend, because everyone's like, well, tanning real leather has chemicals in it, and you're killing animals. Faux leather is 100% polyurethane. It's plastic just like polyester, and the amount of chemicals they have in that stuff is toxic for the body. And there's a video that I will post below, and again, it's nothing too gloom and doom, but there was an environmental chemist in Canada. A woman who was pregnant bought a bunch of stuff and said, okay, what's in this? And you'd be shocked the amount of lead and chemicals and really crappy stuff was in children's clothing, in children's bags that, little ones would just put in their mouth. So, also in the name, I'll post it below. I was thinking that as I was like, okay, I have to do a burn test, but if I actually knew an environmental chemist that could put this under a microscope and tell me, is there any other chemicals involved? And, as I go through my environmental journey, I also want to see what dye does too. I know dye takes longer to set into polyester. You actually have to use an acid to get it to bond. But, a lot of the colors that we use too have a chemical effect, but at least the main material is biodegradable. We got to go in steps. But if you feel like watching the video, it did talk about that too. Another reason why fast fashion is terrible, and why you should know whether or not, if anything, faux fur is plastic. It is polyester. It is not good. Faux leather is polyester. It's loaded with chemicals that are worse than tanning leather. So I would go to the thrift store and get a vintage fur. Yes, I know back in the 50s it was cruel to animals, but that coat is already created and it's biodegradable. At least you wearing something from that time and letting it have a second life, and then, later letting it biodegrade, is much better than you buying something cheap and flashy and trashy from any of these fast fashion brands. The other thing was, there's another video that I'll post below that was actually very interesting. It was by a seamstress who talks about a touch test, because again, I'm becoming better. I could feel my shacket and kind of try to figure out it. It felt like wool, but then it felt like cotton, and I was close. I was like, okay, this feels like natural fiber, but I'm not 100% sure. And there's so many crossovers now, it could be a mix. And she actually has a wonderful test. She says that if you hold the fabric, if you hold the natural fabric in your hand, and you can do this at the fabric store too, I know it's listed, but she's like, if you hold it for about 10 seconds, you'll feel the breathableness of the fabric. And I've talked about this in other videos. Natural fabrics breathe. It has a barometer. So you'll feel like your hand will heat up, but it'll feel ventilated. And when you let go of the fabric, it will crease, it'll crumple, because that's what cotton and linen does, and silk. But if you hold on to synthetic fibers for 10 seconds, your hand will really start to heat up that fast. You'll also feel a little bit of sweaty palm. You might not be dripping sweat, but you almost feel like that heat, like something like if you were holding a plastic bag and your skin couldn't breathe. And then the other thing is when you let go of it, it may crumple a little, but it smooths out. Like if you smooth it out, it's like it's almost like you didn't grip it at all. So I did that test as well, but of course I'd gone ahead and done the burn test too. So, but I would really love to know if anyone, I mean, that video that did the testing, you know, was in Canada, and I don't know if they do any of that in the US. I mean, honestly, I don't think we have a whole lot of regulation for any of the ways that our clothes are made, especially when they're shipped in from other countries. But all right, guys, that was my adventure. I just thought it was interesting because it's like I do, you know, I'm adhering to my 5 fashion rules and I care about what things are made of. And I did buy it secondhand. I'm almost positive that it's cotton, maybe a more thicker brushed kind of cotton, but I will be wearing my shacket in the spring, and I think it'll be a trend if you see other women or, you know, other folks, you know, other people wearing that kind of style, you know. You saw it here first on the Enviro channel. But all right, guys, we kept it down to 30 minutes. Yay, good job, right? All right. Moving forward, I'm just curious what you think. Have you seen any articles? Have you discovered anything new about how we are investigating, you know, how things are marked or, you know, proving that things are 100%? Do you prefer 100% natural, you know, fibers? Why? Why not? And what do you think that we can do differently to make this an easier process where we don't have to burn our clothes in the bathroom in effigy? So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. It feels good to be back, and I promise I will try to get more videos out and you know, quicker, you know, without such big gaps. But thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.